Welcome, everyone. This is Glenda Dawson. LD is doing a mission today, so he will join next week. And you're watching Glenda's Dragon's Den. We are live on the Glenda's Magical Creations channel on the Conscious Awakening Network, which is on Roku TV, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, and lots of other streaming platforms. And thank you for being here with us every week. And for those that catch us live, please join the chat room. For those that catch us later, send us messages, emails, whether you want to get in contact with the guest, please do. All right. So for tonight's guest, we have a phenomenal guest, and she will tell us all about herself and what she has experienced through her whole life. Exie Susanne Smith. Hi,
Hi, Glenda.
how are you?
I'm fabulous. Thank you. How are you doing tonight?
Perfect. Thank you.
Yay.
So,
Yeah, thank you for having me.
of course, thank you for allowing us to have you, right?
Uh-huh.
so,
Aw. Aw, that's sweet.
so tell us about yourself.
Okay. Well, I'm Exie Smith, and I've been doing readings a short amount of time. It's only been about 14 years, somewhere in there. But I was born a medium. I have known things my entire life. uh, that I have no way of knowing or should not know. I used to freak out my mother a lot until then. I was about 5, and we were walking around the neighborhood, and I started to point at houses and telling her what was going on in the houses. And I told her that, well, this house, she has a special guest that comes. He's only here a couple days a week, and it turns out she was having an affair. Yeah. So my mom was in the best shape of her life after that summer because every day we were going for a walk. She'd be like, "Come on, we're going to tour the neighborhood again." But then around 12, everything changed. My period started, which is like, oh, tell me this doesn't go on long. And I started to hear things, see things. Everything in my house changed. It was a 2-story house, only the basement had a walkout in the back, and it was all woods. It was beautiful, but I would hear things when everyone left. At 12 years old, back, in the early 70s, you stayed by yourself. You babysat. You were,
Right.
you were a young adult. So when my parents would leave and my brothers would go out and do their thing, I'd hear footsteps on the basement stairs, and I'd count. I knew there was 13 steps on those stairs, and I'd only hear 6. And I'd wait for more. And with it being a walkout, I never knew if it was really a dead something, or which was a new concept, or if it was a human
Right.
and coming for a visit. So I'd go into the bathroom. I'd lock the door. It was the only room in the house with a lock. And underneath my mom's vanity, I had a book taped and a flashlight. And I would lay there and grab somebody's towel, roll it up, and I'd stretch out on the floor, and I'd read until I heard the front door. And then I'd put everything back. I'd flush the toilet and come out like I'd just, hi, what's going on? Meanwhile, I'd been in there for hours, but I had a toilet and I had water. I was fine, it was fine. So that kind of evolved into my psychic side, and turned that on. One night, out of my closet came a thing. And the only reason I woke up was because I heard a click. At that age, I already knew all the sounds in my house.
Right.
And when those sounds should happen. And I know that sounds odd to some people, but it was a mechanism. It was a defense mechanism.
Right.
Because if you get it.
I get it. Yeah.
So if a noise happened out of sync, I panicked, because that meant something changed, and it probably wasn't a good change. And very negative sort of response to it, because it could have been a good change. But my experiences hadn't taken me there yet. I
Right.
hadn't discovered ascended masters or angels or spirit guides yet that I was aware of.
Mhm.
And meanwhile, they're all around me. Got to protect this little one. And it came out of the closet, offered me everything in life I could ever want. And I thought, well, that's odd, because that sounds like a free lunch. And my dad, that was one of his biggest things, was there is no such thing as a free lunch.
Right.
And I'm laying there in little PJs and, covers up to here, dark. And this gargoyle looking thing is offering me this. And all of a sudden, the word God popped into my head. So I said it out loud, and this thing shook and it backed up. And I liked that response a lot. So I said it again, and it went back into the closet. As soon as I couldn't see it anymore, I lunged for my bedside light, clicked it on, because to me, light has always been safe and good and
Right.
healthy.
Exactly.
The protector.
Mm-hmm.
So I crept out of bed and I went to my closet. It was back then, you had the big plushy carpet. And I expected to see footprints, because I thought maybe it was one of my stupid brothers, playing a trick on me.
Right.
No footprints. And I sniffed, because I thought something that ugly should have an odor. Nothing. I know. I looked for hair, like it was,
Right.
like it was a werewolf or something. Nothing. There was nothing. So I opened my bedroom door, stuck my desk chair underneath the handle, because I saw it in a movie once and thought, well, that'll work. Locked the door open. And I got back into bed and I slept with a light on. I slept with a light on well into my 20s, just because I didn't want to be caught unaware again.
Right. Right.
Now I have to have it pitch black. Now it's just got to be like a cave, But that taught me a lot. It taught me that I had a secret. And I had a secret I was going to have to keep for the rest of my life, I thought. So I got up the next morning and I was like, I can't do that. I can't harbor that. It's too much. My aunt, who lived in Washington, D.C., came for visits, and she was just adorable. I loved her and I miss her greatly. My Aunt Susanne, and she brought me a journal. Oddly, she goes, you should journal. It's really good for you. So I pulled it out of the drawer and I was like, she's right. This is going to be good for me.
Yeah.
So I started to write, and I journaled for 40 years. And the only person I ever told about any of this was my future husband. When he proposed to me, I thought I should let him know what he was really in for. The whole story. It keeps evolving, so I don't even know the whole story.
Right.
But he was like, okay, and then I'd lost a job and got a replacement job. We were married and moving along, and this job was awful. And I kept thinking, I have a book to write. I have a book to write. I need to do this. So I quit my job and I came home and said, so, how's your day going? And he looked at me and he goes, did you quit your job? And I was like, who's the psychic? Who's got the gig going here? What are you doing? And I said, yeah, I did. I said, I have a book to write. So he said, I've been trying to get you to do that for years. So it took me 3 years. My editor, my husband, they're like, enough, stop editing. You're lousy at it. Just give it to, she was like, give it to me. Let me take it. And that's where Welcome to My Paranormal Life came from.
Okay.
And it starts from the beginning and then travels along through my journals. So they're done in like stories. So scary basement stories, or, weird wood in the woods, because our house was in the woods, stories. So it's not chronological, which I thought might be more fun.
Right.
And The books, it's on Amazon. Back when I started the book in 2012, Amazon had the coolest map, and you could follow where your books were sold.
Right.
So I followed it. It sold in the United States. It went to Europe, sold around the back, came to a small island in the Pacific, and then sold in just outside of San Francisco. So my book sold around the world, and it may have been one copy in each stop. But I was like, I just became a worldwide sensation, is what I told my husband. Right? I know.
That's
And
okay. That's how it goes, right?
yeah, and it did. So and they don't. I miss that map. They don't do that anymore, which
Yeah,
is
I
too
know.
bad. But that's really how that started and how it kind of went. And once you know how that is too, once the door opens for spirit, it was like an avalanche. It
Uh-huh.
just I would see um, and hear like somebody sitting in our dining room chairs, and
Mhm.
nobody had been in them all day. You know, that settling noise and doors opening and closing, walking down the hallway, and you'd see one of the bedroom doors just kind of push shut. It's like,
This-
okay, I just gave myself goosebumps too. Remembering that, because you go to the far side of the hall and you know,
right. You're
and
like,
you run. Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna.
Going into the basement was the worst. My mother would be like, I need a canned good, you know, and that, of course, it's in the basement, in the cellar, around the corner.
Right.
And my dad had these little pulleys with strings. So they go up to the light and across the room. And it was like, come on, Dad, invest in a little switch. It's called, you know, called a switch. They invented it a long time ago. And so you'd have to reach into the dark and
Mhm.
grab this string and pull it. Then you have to run upstairs because you knew they were right behind you.
Uh-huh.
But that pulley system was underneath my bedroom, right upstairs. And I'd be home alone
Mhm.
and minding my own business. Um, I had a little black and white TV in my room, and I'd sit there and watch that, and then I'd hear that
Click.
the pulling, and the light would click on in the basement. Back to the bathroom. You know, I'd be in there stretched out. I got a lot of reading.
There you go.
I was a pretty prolific reader by the time I got to junior high. But it's just such an interesting way to go. And then I started to hear voices. I stopped calling the police because it was like they'd go through the house and it's like that, you know, they'd tap you on the back. It's like you pour a little special thing, you know, and it's just like, all right. So if you find my body, it's on you. You know, I was to that point.
Right.
And in my 20s, I tried my hardest to block this, everything, for about 2 years, and it just was so loud. It was just so loud, and they were telling me that's what they want you to do.
Mhm.
That's what the not goods, the evils, the demons, the whatever, I don't even know yet.
The negative. Just leave it
Total
as that.
negative. Thank you very much. Want you to stop.
Right.
I was like, "Oh, okay." No. So I didn't. And my aunt came to visit. She was dying. She had cancer. She had it everywhere. And we talked about it. And she said, I know there are things that you know that you haven't told anybody. And she goes, you don't have to tell me. But she said, when I go, I will do my best. She said, like Harry Houdini. She goes, I will try my best to come back to you. I was like, okay. I said, and I was just a mess. I was just a mess. She was too neat, too wonderful to lose.
Right.
So I was in college taking finals. It's my finals. I took a business law class. I don't know why. Yeah, I loved this teacher. But so I'm studying for this. I have notes everywhere, stretched out in my apartment, on my bed, on the floor. And all of a sudden, the cafe curtains on my windows stand up. Like wind was coming through them, but there was no wind.
Right.
The room got ice cold. I mean, like all of a sudden, I'm cold again. And I knew she died. And I started to talk to her, and I'm crying, and I'm a mess. And I love you. I'll love you forever, and I'll miss you. And I said, thank you. Thank you so much. I even had my TV on, and the volume on the TV went down. I forgot about that. Because it got, whether it went down or I just went into this
Right.
dome of something.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to her, and I said, I know you have to go, because you could feel the pull
Mm-hmm.
of her. And we talked a little bit more. Curtains went back down. The room warmed back up. I could hear the volume again on the TV. And I turned, and it was an apartment phone by wire.
Right.
I turned and I picked up the phone and I said, hi, Dad. I'm sorry. It was my dad's sister.
Right.
And he said, I just wanted to call you and let you know that she's passed. It was peaceful. And he goes, we'll be home in a couple of days. And, you've got everything you need. Just pack and come home.
Right.
So I'm home. The funeral's over. And we're sitting in the back of the funeral home. And he turns and he looks at me and he goes, I have a question for you. And I'm like, okay. Did that phone even ring when I called you? And he goes, how did you know it was me? And I said, something in my gut.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I knew it was you. And I said, can I tell you something? And so I told him about the whole experience.
Right.
And that changed our relationship. And we would meet. My dad and I were beer buddies. And we'd meet. We'd have a codes. Want to go shopping? Yes. I do. And everybody knew we were going to go to the pub and have a couple of pints,
Right.
So we're sitting there and he said to me, he goes, do we die alone? And I was like, oh, this is, I'm flagging the server at this point. I think we need another, because this just got heavy. And I said, no. I said, Dad, when I see someone that's passing, I see spirit.
Mm-hmm.
It fills the room. And their main spirit is with them and they're behind them. And I said, you don't die alone. I said, you don't come in alone and you don't go out alone.
Mm-hmm.
So he, it was a couple of years later, and he said something to me and he goes, I have to tell you, he goes, when we talked about that, he said, you helped me. I'm not afraid to die.
Mm-hmm. Good.
I got in the car, cried. I was like, I cry a lot, but with my dad was my dad. I was daddy's girl,
Right.
I was the baby and girl, and I looked like him. Everybody else in the family's got blue eyes.
Mm.
But yeah, so that was a lot of cool things. I did know before he passed when he was going to pass, and I've since asked, I don't want to know that anymore.
Yeah.
That was too hard because I knew when he had to have a surgery. He had a heart valve that was bad and blood was pooling behind it. And I was like, he goes, am I going to survive this surgery? And I'm like, yes, absolutely you are. But I knew he wouldn't survive the next 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That something wouldn't, and his kidneys failed, and then his liver. But I watched, we got the phone call and we met as a family and we gathered around his bed. And as he was passing, his DNA rose up out of his face. That helix rose right up out of his face. And it was the coolest color. And I'm looking around the room. There's like 15 people in this room. And I'm like, isn't this cool? This is so cool. Nobody, not a single one of them sees this thing. And I'm like, you're missing the show. The show is right here. And so I'm talking to my dad, but I'm staring above his head. And it is the same color of it's beer and champagne. It's beer colored, but champagne bubbles. And that was my dad. He could go from a tux to blue jeans and cowboy boots. And I thought, wow, did I just learn? I just learned. That really is your soul. It's your essence.
Mm-hmm.
So he had written a note to my mom and she handed it to me after the funeral. And it said, don't forget me and put me in your next damn book. And I was like, well, yeah, okay, but I didn't want you in there this way,
Right.
So I named the book after him, The Essence of Death.
Okay.
And put some lights on the cover that go up like his essence did.
Mm-hmm.
And so no, I didn't forget him. He's he's in there, but that was a heartbreak. That was tough. So I was like, no more. I don't want to know death dates, or I don't want to remember them. And because I used to give my mom a lot of crap about, she'd be like, oh, today's kind of tough. It was your grandmother's, she died today. And I'm like, Mom, it's been 40 years, let it go. So I used to give her crap. So what does she do? She dies on a Friday the 13th.
Okay.
I'm like, you bitch. I know, she did this on purpose. She did this on purpose. I know damn well she did. And she's laughing away at me,
Yeah.
She goes, don't remember those death dates, do you? And I'm like, I won't remember the year though. So it's like, shoot. Yeah. But yeah. It's like, oh, come on. So yeah, she remembered all those. She remembered birthdays and deaths, and no.
But that's that older generation. I
Isn't
felt
that the
that
truth?
they had to remember every single time. And sometimes they even remember the exact timing. And I'm like, oh, they're
Yeah,
gone. Like,
it's
catch up
okay.
with them when you go up, to the other side and you want to talk. That's fine. But
Yeah. And I mean, they're happier than you are right now.
yeah,
They're
exactly.
not having weight issues. You're not waiting for the service man to come fix your dryer. Your phone
No,
didn't die, you know?
exactly. You're not having any of that stuff. They're not having any of those issues. They're also not worrying. There's no fear. There's no pain.
No gravity.
No gravity. Exactly.
Yes. Yes. So I'm sitting here going, no gravity. Yeah.
Yeah, let's pull this up.
I
Let's pull
know.
some other stuff up.
Yeah. Oh, too funny. Oh, shoot. Um,
But
so yeah.
yes, the knowing when somebody is going to die or pass is very hard. I had that experience with my parents, and
Mhm.
and then I have clients coming. Yeah, are they going to die soon? I'm like, why do you want to know? Enjoy now. Enjoy now, and don't worry about tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I understand how you asked for that part of the gift to kind of shut down.
And
I
they were fine, because, and I will have clients ask me the same. Is this
Right.
like something that's, and I said, well, you know, let's put it this way. How do you feel? What do you think?
Right.
I don't think they're going to make it for another 6 months. And I'm like, well, so then what are you going to do in the meantime? Eat with them, go see them, go
Right.
read to them, go,
Exactly.
sit and watch a TV show with them, give them a pedicure, well, not my dad. Oh, he'd have liked that though. He would have loved that. I know, but do fill in those times and
Exactly.
make those memories, and you may stretch their life out for them,
Yeah.
because you've made them happy. I think laughter is a huge
Yes.
key to health and well-being, and being upbeat and happy. It's just matters so much.
It does. It does. People don't understand that. And I'm very blessed because my partner is. I could be in the worst mood ever, and he'll take whatever it is, turn it around, make a joke out of it. I'm like, I hate you because I'm laughing. I'm like, oh, I hate you. I wanted him to still be angry, but it's like you just for that moment or
Isn't
whatever.
that nice?
Yeah, I
Yep.
I'm very blessed when it comes to that. That's
You are with whom you're supposed to be with.
mm, yes,
I am too. Even
yes.
though he's an Aquarian, and sometimes he makes my Virgo like, I go toward him like this, you know.
Well, my partner is Capricorn, and I'm a Gemini, so I
Oh,
know I understand the.
yeah, my son's a Gemini. I go toward him like that too. Yeah. It's like, holy cow. We wait for him to come in the back door and go, all right, which one showed up? Oh yeah, it's the happy one. Okay, But
Well,
you guys are so smart and so compassionate and such conversant, amazing people. It's a
thank you.
blessing.
Thank you. That's great after coffee. Before coffee, you don't want to.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I know. My husband will pop up in the kitchen and I'm like, I have a knife. Just don't even. He'll be like, okay. He
Well,
backs out.
that's one thing that this one learned. He actually brings coffee to me in bed.
Ooh.
Yes, yes, because he
Oh,
knows he
nice.
wants a nicer one.
let's, yeah, let's give her a half hour.
Yeah, right.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous. I do get refills on the couch, so
Oh well, then
I'll take that too.
yeah. There
Yeah,
you go.
I'll take that. We are some lucky, spoiled women.
Yes, we are. Yes, we
That's
are.
awesome. Aw. Well,
So now, um, how have you seen those experiences um, basically get you out of the closet? Because we were all quiet. Ooh, we can't talk. Oh, and then all of a sudden we find ourselves talking, and we're like, "Why are we saying this? Oh my God, I'm actually talking about this." So,
yeah. The first, the ghost hunters
mhm,
with Jason and Grant
right,
opened the door for me. When that show came out, and I waited, and then once I heard, excuse me, people talking about it like at a cocktail party or something, I was
right,
like, it's time.
yeah,
It is absolutely time. So that's when I put the book out there and got some interesting comments from it and got some very nasty things said. I put them in the next book.
mm-hmm,
So it's Virgo, don't push. So I put them in the next book. And then at the next party, like 2 years later, they're like, so was that me in your book? And I'm like, it very well could have been. Yeah. I didn't use names. I don't use names. I may have used one in there somewhere in this last one. But I've always been very careful. But I was like, yeah, so you know what? You might want to keep your words sweet because you might have to eat them. And
mm-hmm.
these are people in their 40s. And I was like, so because I dished that out, I try to do the same because it'll come back
Oh yeah, yeah,
twice as big if you don't. But that show really opened the door. I
good.
met Grant and I gave him a copy of that book. And I said, you don't have to read it. You throw it out the window on your way to the airport. But this is what you did for me. And I thanked him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very cool. And I was so pleased because, yeah, we were in the closet.
Yeah.
And I have, I have a large gay following because I understand.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that being closeted, being afraid to speak, being
Yep.
afraid to let yourself be who you are. And I'm a proponent. Find out who you are, find your love, live your life, be free, leave other
Mm-hmm.
people alone, do
Mm-hmm.
good, laugh. And
Exactly.
oh my gosh, it's just breathe and help, share,
Mm-hmm.
do whatever it is. If somebody needs you, please be there or find someone that can help them if you can't.
Right.
Those kinds of things. And so that's what came out of that watching that TV show,
Hmm.
which he was just kind of like, whoa, that's a lot for just we this little thing we did. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but little things become big things,
Exactly.
when your heart is in the right place. So,
Exactly. And you never know where you're going to find inspiration, where you're going to inspire others, because
yeah.
your story the way you said, you tell it could inspire others to really say, "Oh my God, I experienced almost similar stuff. I'm not crazy. I'm okay. I
Isn't that?
yeah,
And we both do conventions and we both travel and we're on the road.
right.
I have these people that will come by and I call them my 4-footers. They'll be coming along tables and they see mine and they back up about 4 feet, go past my table. I just wave as I watch them go by, and then they go back in and then they go on down the line. They'll show up later and I don't believe in anything you say or do. I'm like, okay. And I put my hand out to shake hands and introduce myself.
Right.
And then the next line, and my husband, I can hear him saying it behind me going, but there was this one time. And I was like, gotcha. I gotcha. So the 4-footer no more. I should have t-shirts. I used to be a 4-footer. Yeah, I know it. So then they tell me their story and it's a great story. I
Mhm,
had some I asked for express permission, excuse me
mhm.
here, Michigan allergies,
No,
expressed permission to use their story because they were so good. They were
good.
so cute. They were poignant. They fit a niche that I wasn't into or hadn't gone into. And it really might help somebody understand they're not
Exactly.
crazy.
Exactly.
And
Uh,
that's the whole thing. I mean, I've given my book away to parents.
right.
They'll come up to my table and they're like, "Hi, and our 12-year-old, she's telling us she's seeing things. Our 8-year-old, our 7-year-old,
Mhm,
um, I mean, even younger. I'm
mhm,
helping mediums that are two and younger.
mhm.
They don't understand what's happening to themselves, but they're seeing things. They're having these massive dreams. So I put these little soft knit hats on them so it
Mhm.
closes their chakras, their third eye,
Right.
their crown, and there's this little soft bow and it closes everything. And their parents are like, what the hell did you do? Because it's like everything stopped. And I said, well, stop for now.
Right.
But I said, if it's this intense, it's coming back
Right.
with a vengeance eventually. Call me. Call me. I mentor for free. I don't charge for that. And that's
Right.
like, you need help. Here, this is how much I charge. No. So readings are different. Readings are,
Right. Yeah. No, we have
you know,
to pay our bills somehow, right?
yes,
Yeah,
yes. Gift
it's-
for a gift.
right.
But when it's help like that, so I've given my book out to parents and I'm like, read this and understand the fact that you're good, honest people. You've raised a good, honest child. They're really seeing this.
Mhm.
And I put my card in there and I'm like, email me if you have any questions, and I will get back a note that this is incredible. This is what's happening at my house.
Mhm.
So that was in the beginning. And in the beginning, I didn't mentor. I wasn't doing readings then. I um, I got pushed off the cliff by Deb DeRusse and um, Beth. Oh my gosh, Beth, I'm sorry, Lady Beth. And they put a sign up on my table. I went to go to the bathroom. I was at Little Traverse Bay, Parafest, and I came back and the sign up was full. And I was like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know what. So I did 3 readings and I got a massive migraine because I
Mm.
was using me. I was
And
using my
right.
mojo, everything on me too hard.
Right.
So I read the first 2. It was great. The third one, I just gave her her money back and went and balled up the sheet. And I'm like, I'm done. So then Beth had me on her radio show probably a month later, and
Mm.
she goes, "So we're going to do readings." I'm like, "I hate you," because she hadn't said that.
Yeah, somebody did that to me too, and I was like smiling, but I could do it. They could
Yeah,
hear my
I
thoughts.
was like, "I really hate you." You're doing this. You're like,
Yeah,
yeah.
right.
So I read somebody in Hawaii. They're
Mhm.
like the first caller. Of course, So by then my eyes twitching. But I started to see these things, and I saw these images. I saw this beautiful cross on this adorable white church, old style, with beautiful greenery around it. And she goes, that describes perfectly the church we're getting married in. So then I said, okay, I'm seeing a tiger, and it's an old tiger. It's like an Asian sort of tiger. And she goes, that's the tattoo on my fiance. And Beth is laughing at this point, laughing hysterically. And I'm like, I'm trying to ignore her. So then a woman calls from New York, and we're reading along. And this is the story I learned how to realize I have to describe everything I see. They show you it because it's important. So it was a red brick wall, and it was a painting, and it had it was either a painting of a rose, I don't remember now, or there was a rose in a vase, and it was a half table. And I went in and I said, but then there's this next picture next to it. It's two different locations. And I said, the wall is white and it looks more modern, and the lighting is really up, and the painting's great, but I get a really good feeling from the darker side of this that it's burgundies and it's all beautiful. And she goes, I have 2 job offers, 2 different galleries, and you just told me the one I should take because that's the one I think I should take too. Wow. Oh, okay. So if I hadn't described that in such detail, she would have asked me that, and I'd been like, I don't know. I can't answer that question for you.
Right.
It's like, should I marry Jim? And I'm like, who's Jim? You know? Yeah. But that's those, and it's a hoot. I love phone readings. They come through my cell phone. That battery just throws it through my guides and at me, and it's just so much fun.
It is. It's definitely electronics people at first were like, oh my God, over the net. And actually the electronics are helping increase the message, the connection.
I agree.
It's very interesting, because at first a lot of people did think that would be the wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I could do anything. It's energy, period.
Right. Yeah.
So,
I mean, mentally, I can be in your house. I can be in anybody's house right now, anywhere in the world. It's just energy, and it's, so it doesn't really matter. I love this setup too. These are great readings. It's more concentrated energy. I'm at my kitchen counter here, the island, and somebody will sit across from me from a reading, and it's not as intense. So I load up the crystals, and I do, get the quartz out and try to radiate as much energy that I feel through mechanical things, through the phone, through this. These are because I have my phone sitting here too. These are like a buzz. You get this yeah, all right, so you almost get a psychic high.
Yeah. We go to a convention or whatever, and we do a few of them. And then you're like, ooh, I need to take a break because you're like up there. You're just out there.
Oh,
and,
man.
And it's like, ooh, I don't have to pay for anything. Look at this.
I know. Who needs a cocktail?
Right.
I don't.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's I think that would make it worse.
Well, I discovered that because I was doing parties, home parties, so I don't do evening ones anymore because people drink. It's too hard to read someone that's been drinking because it's scrambled. I can read after a couple of cocktails really well because it brings everything down.
Right.
I don't question anything. It's just that, yeah, it's just kind of like, oh, here we go. But to read someone that's had cocktails, it's too difficult.
No, it's it hinders their connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's, I do parties also, and had a lot of them that didn't make any difference what time it was. They were drinking. And it was like, okay, nobody's allowed to have more than one before they get to me. So I don't
Perfect.
care when it is, one. That relaxes you, one. But you could all drink all you want after I leave.
That's perfect. I like that. Thank you.
Eh,
That answer that question, because then I'll do the evening ones. But man, there was a couple that was like trying to chase egg white, you know? Like, no,
when they can't even walk straight, I don't know if I want
no,
to.
save your money.
Yeah, save your money.
Here's my card. Call me. We'll set up an appointment.
Right, exactly. That's
Yeah.
that's basically it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that is one of the contingencies I put in the thing.
I really like that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
because
Perfect. That's perfect.
it helps you be able to connect to the true self, not the intoxicated self.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Because intoxicated, you don't know what's true or what's in the
right.
walls. Well, it's amazing how it's an uninhibitor, but at the same time, for some people, it raises a lot of walls.
Yeah.
And it's just too confusing. So
Mhm.
I was going to see if anybody.
We had, somebody had not a question, just hello, how are you?
Nice.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, hello. Thank you.
and somebody was from Bangladesh,
Ah.
and
Oh,
I did
thank
say
you.
yes, sorry to Shaylee. I'm
Yes.
hoping I pronounced that. So, but you know,
Oh,
it's
well, I'm glad they're here. That's very
yeah,
nice.
exactly. And I'm glad that they're participating in the chat room. Not all the
Yeah.
time people can do that. Sometimes for some reason on their phones it doesn't really
Ah,
work. So
I've had that happen too.
yeah. So now when you told your husband and he was like okay, uh did he take a moment again before or he was
It was too funny because I didn't even realize I was doing it. We we this is our covert redo, so this is all new.
right.
But the kitchen used to be that way, and the phone line would go past here, and then there was a desk back here. And I'd feel this energy
Mm,
buzz by me on the side of the house, and then the phone would ring. Oh, okay. So then I'd feel it, and he'd be close. I'd say, "The phone's going to ring. Why don't you grab it?" And not even thinking what I just said, and it didn't phase him either. And he'd walk toward it, pick it up. Then it became, "Hey, why don't you go ahead and grab that? It's your mom." Because then I knew. So
the
the
different
ability was growing.
right.
And he said to me after I said that, he goes, "I thought what you were doing with the phone was a parlor trick." He goes, "I don't know how you were doing it," but he goes, "I didn't think that it could be real that you were doing that." He said, until that moment, he never had said a word. And
Mm,
I was just like, "Well, grab it, and I'm
right.
cooking or we're doing dishes or whatever." And so, yeah, that was about it. And so we sat down and talked about it. It didn't change a thing. He was hook, line, and sinker, which is,
Okay.
thank goodness. Yeah. Paranormal hubby is what I call him at shows. He's para hubby.
But it's like he said, at first he was just thought it was a trick, and then he realized it was, you were really using your gifts. So
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and
Because
it
we
yeah.
go by houses and I'm like, oh, ooh, there's somebody upstairs there, or do you see that in that backyard? And he'll look at me like, of course not. He doesn't see anything and he's only heard one thing.
Mhm.
I was on the couch. He was in the kitchen. I'm gonna make dinner. I'm like, sweet, go ahead. And he was doing his thing. And all of a sudden there was a pop, like this like a crack of a whip. So it was energy
Right.
in the middle of the living room. And I hear, "Ooh." And he goes, "What?" Man, I came off the couch. I was like, "Yeah, you heard your first ghost." He goes, "No, no, no, no." The next like 3 hours, I'd hear him, "No." He'd be walking somewhere. No. It was great. It was just great. But that's it.
Yeah.
That's it for him.
He learned how to shut it down. That's all.
Yeah, and he's fine with that, and it doesn't matter to me. But what I did tell him, I said, use your gut. Know if there's danger around you.
Right.
Know it for people.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that part. It's like my son, our son. He's very much a medium. Has shut it down. He's a swim coach, so he keeps his intuition about people.
Right.
He really knows his kids. He knows his parents, and loves that. He knows his coworkers because of his intuition.
Right.
And he'll call me once in a while. I'll be like, "I was just thinking about you," and I know he wants to go. I know, yeah, but he won't. He won't. I'll be in a baby department at the store, wandering around. He'll call my cell. "Get out of the baby department."
But I'm sending you too many hints.
Yeah, but it's like, but, no, get out. I'm like, okay. Yeah.
Oh Lord.
So I know it's there.
Right. Right. He's
You
not
know,
ready. He's not ready to blossom. That's all.
he's not. So I told him, I said, "Well, I'm ordained. You can become ordained." And I said, "We'll start a religion."
Right.
He walked away. He just walked away. No words. Turned around. I was like,
Yeah.
"Think about it." I'm yelling at him. "Think about it."
Yeah, that would definitely, yeah, my kids would do the same thing. They have done the same thing to me. I would bring something up about how about opening together a business, You do some readings, I do some readings, and
Yeah.
I get my daughter or my son, they'll just look at me.
Yeah. I
I'm like,
know.
you'll remember how to do things later. No, it's like,
Yeah.
no.
It's a learning process.
Yeah, yeah. So,
And it's what I tell people too, that they're like, "I want to do what you do." And I'm like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" It's some things you wish for. I mean, these aren't gifts. These are abilities.
right.
So because they're tough. They take a toll on you.
Yeah.
It's demanding. You could talk to people 24/7.
Hmm.
So you've got to learn boundaries.
Hmm.
It's not just that simple, like, "Oh, this is fun." It is fun and it's wonderful and it's a blessing and I'm honored. I,
Hmm.
I'm honored to carry this and to deliver what I can. But so then I ask them that. Then I take them into things, tell them to relax, to meditate, to picture this however you think it should be.
Hmm.
For me, at first, it was like sidewalk doors in New York, the elevators on the sidewalks for deliveries. It would open like that. And I looked at my husband and I said, is my hair messy? And he goes, "No, it's the same as it was an hour ago." And I said, "Okay." I said, "Oh, I opened it. I just wanted to make sure it didn't mess with my hair." And he's like, he just looked at me, he goes, "You're an ass." And I was like, I just left. I was like, and then I said, "So picture that." But I said, at the
Right.
same time, you have to remember, then you have to learn to close it.
Hmm.
You can't be open all the time. You will hurt
Oh,
yourself. You'll bring in things you don't want to bring in,
yeah.
and it's just too much of a strain. So I said, then learn to close it and practice that.
Hmm.
Whatever time you need, take that time. So then I talk about the third eye.
Hmm.
And I said, the fun part about that, it can be any color you want.
Yep.
And they're like, "Really?" I said, "No, not really." I said, "They'll make it whatever color you want, but mine's
A lot of
blue."
the times it does come whatever color they want.
Absolutely. Mine did. I always wanted blue eyes. I was the only
Yeah.
one in the family besides my dad, without blue eyes.
Right.
So my third eye is blue. It's kind of the same blue as your necklace, which is
Oh, nice.
so it just, yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, same thing, practice opening and closing that.
Mhm.
And I said, you have to imagine it. I said, use imagery, use, quiet time and picture it and do
Mhm.
whatever it is you need to do. I mean, there's times I was on the couch and I was doing this and Steve just walks by, grabs something and leaves. He doesn't even ask. So, it's work
Right.
and it's a muscle and you have to use it,
Exactly.
or
I Yep. I tell all my students the same thing. You have to practice. I could tell you whatever I could tell you, and I could teach you whatever I could teach you. But if you don't do the work, you're not going to get the benefit of it.
right.
It's like, it's all up to you.
Absolutely.
Even classes like today, I taught archangels. I started a new course on that. I
Ooh,
said,
nice.
I could tell you the stuff, I could give you the stuff, but if you don't do the exercises so you're not going to get the most out of it. And, so it's all up to you.
Like everything else,
Yeah. It's your
you
journey,
know?
your path, your work. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And that was like I started with tarot
Mm-hmm.
and I got about 3 or 4 months into it and I was like, nope. Threw away the book, the cards, I gave them away. I was like, here, I think these are meant for you. And my girlfriend looked at me, she goes, like hell. And I'm like, I like oracle cards. They
Right.
really resonate with me. I like those. And I more have gotten to know my deck. I have a couple, bought a really artistic set. I don't know if I got them in Savannah or New Orleans, but they're just,
Mm-hmm.
I love them bigger and put them up around the house.
Right.
But I mean, they have the meanings too, and you just have to really look at the card. And I like them. They'll pull out a theme, and
Mm-hmm.
it's
Exactly.
it's 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 help, but I guess help is the proper term.
Yeah.
Assistance to
It's
make sure
direction. Direction.
for me that I'm headed in the right direction. Yes, and I like it too sometimes. Then I'll be like, oh, I just said that word. That's the third time I've said that word. And look at the next card, and it's got, so I said,
Right.
this is your message for your reading. I write everything down just to help keep
Mm-hmm.
track. After I had this woman that had like 4 mothers and a couple dads, and I'm like, all right, so and I hadn't written anything down because I didn't do it then. So now I do. So I write it right in the center. This is your message. This is
Yeah.
it's like homework. I send people home with homework all the time
Yeah.
in a reading. And
Mm-hmm.
they're kind of like, no, that yeah,
Yeah.
you know, it's your path. You can do this or you can't, you don't have to. But I guarantee you'll move forward if you do this.
Mm-hmm.
I said, you just left a fork. If you do this, you get to another fork really quick. You don't have to. It will be the same path, but it'll be slower.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll go, oh, I don't want that, or
Yeah, I'm ready to stop this roller coaster right now.
yeah, I love it. I love it.
So,
I feel honored.
oh, it is, it is, it is. And I am one of those that has been talking to the other side since before the age of 2. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
All the women on my mother's side, it's a generational thing. So, they passed it to me, and then I was like, no, I want to pass it down to everyone. So if they want to use it, they have it,
Yeah.
and so I did. But it's up
Oh,
to them to use it or not.
yes, exactly. And I was the same.
Yeah,
I want to share it. I want to help people develop it.
right.
And, let's create more goodness and lift and
Exactly, exactly.
Mhm.
So we got less than 5 minutes. Anything in particular we haven't covered that you want to cover?
Oh my gosh. What's your theory on blood types
Blood
for
types.
I am the
Typo.
you're huh?
I'm typo.
I am the only person in my family with my blood type, and I'm AB negative.
Okay.
And the doctor is like, "Did your mom have a lot of miscarriages?" He goes, "It would have to be a lot." So I have a book I've been working on. It's called The 12th Child because that's what he said to me. He goes, "You should be the 12th child."
Mm,
So it's, and there's the theory about being alien, the
yeah.
negative bloods, different race. So I've just been asking people because I thought it was kind of interesting
Mm,
about blood
yeah.
types.
Yeah. It is very interesting, and there's actually some scientific backing to all those theories,
I
which
agree.
is very interesting, isn't it? That it's actually coming out now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I believe some of us are what they call hybrids, which you know it is what it is. So
Yeah.
at that point, and that's
Yeah.
where the different characteristics appear that you don't really realize, because you're there, that's it. But you could see it later on, and now that we're opening up and actually having more disclosure and more of all that stuff, and actually people talking about things, it's all just coming out, and
Yeah.
we're all starting to hopefully open our eyes.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
I hope so too.
So you have that book that you're planning, the one about blood types. What, any other?
Yeah. Well, you will see if what happens to it. It may get thrown into a fifth. I have kind of a hodgepodge of stuff, but I'm not promising a fifth book. I know I've got some people out there going, yeah. And I'm like, oh, my husband's in there going, no.
He
Yeah.
doesn't want to he
Yeah.
doesn't want to edit
No.
anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. No. He'll be really happy if I go no. But so
Ah,
no, that's it. So I have appearances. I have a website. I promise I will update that. And but I have some private events happening. But then August 24th through the 26th, I will be in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, at my Paracon,
okay.
and then I will be in Charlotte, Michigan, for the Festival of Oddities. That's Labor Day weekend. That is both of those I've just mentioned are a blast. They're a riot, and it's just fun. I do galleries at both.
Good.
So come
Good.
and do a gallery. I'll be with Tim Shaw at the one at the Sioux. We're
Nice.
gonna do one together. That should be
That should,
wild.
yeah.
It should be wild. He's a wild man.
Yes, he definitely is good at it, and brings a brings it to a different light, which is lovely. Lovely.
He
So,
does. I agree. I agree. I love him.
so thank you very much.
Thank you,
This was
Glenda.
great. Thank you for sharing yourself with us.
Thank you for
And
allowing me to be here. And
anytime we want you to come back, please
thanks.
do stay with us, and as we end this. And I just want to say thank you to everyone. Please be on the lookout. Go to any of the events that she's out there on, and reach out to her. And thank you, everyone. Have a great week. Blessings. And again, we love you. Bye.